Today's video is brought to you by Equipment Experts. Look, if you're tired of searching across multiple websites for used equipment and trucks, check out equipmentexperts.com. Hey guys, what's going on? Wayne here. Hey, as we've talked about in several videos over the last year or so, Cat is in the process of a lineup-wide refresh of its dozers. Now, they started back in 2018 with the introduction of the first of these new next-generation dozers, the D6 and the D6 XE. The company then followed that up with replacements for most of the small and medium dozer lineups with the new D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, and D7 models all coming in the last 12 months. By the way, we've got videos that deal with each of those new dozers that go in and break down the changes on each of those new models, so check those out at the links in the description below. And be sure to subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future equipment videos. But getting back to today's discussion, today we've got the introduction of Cat's first large next generation dozer, the new D9, which is replacing the D9T. Now, a hallmark of these new next gen models has been a new cab, but the D9's got a bit more going on than that when it comes to upgrades. Specifically, much of this new dozer's development was really focused on saving you money over the course of the life of this machine. So let's get into it. Now, before we get into the specifics of the D9, as we've done with all of our reviews of all of these next-gen dozers from Cat, we have to take a second and acknowledge the new model name on this machine, or really the shorter model name. In 2017, Cat decided to stop using letters and model names to denote new generations of machines, with the hope of making every machine lineup within the company a little bit easier to understand. Within the dozer lineup, this was actually a little bit more complicated because not only was Cat using letters to denote generations or kind of new model years of certain models, they were also being used to denote different sizes of the same dozer model. Now, an example of that being the 3 different kinds of D6 dozer that you could buy at one point. There was a D6K2, a D6N, and a D6T. So under this new naming convention, the D9T is now just the D9. And if you want a more thorough explanation of the way that Cat is naming its new dozers, check out our video on the new D4, which used to be called the D6K2. And in that video, we really get into more of Cat's thinking behind this and how it kind of clears the product lineup a bit in terms of your understanding. You can check that out right up here above me or at the link in the description below. Now, because the D9 is a next-gen dozer, there are going to be several important changes that have been made to this machine that, while they may not be outwardly apparent, as Cat dozer and mining product expert Todd Cole outlines here, these changes are still very significant to the overall platform.
Electrical architecture, reduction of ECMs, some changes to the frame that are really minor, but for manufacturability and interchangeability with different configurations and commonality too with some of the large dozer families. So the more parts we can utilize, the less variation, and is really a benefit to the customer, to the dealer, and then to us.
And beyond bringing the D9 in line with other next-gen dozers, the other focus for Cat on this new model was total cost of ownership. And that's an important consideration for this machine specifically because it is a large machine that is used in pretty rough production environments. Plus, thanks to its size and a wide range of blades and attachments that are currently available for it, it can be used for several different tasks across multiple industries.
Depending on where you're in the world, it is a mining machine. In North America, it's probably more viewed as heavy construction, but it definitely sits in that the land in between two continents. We're in waste, we're in stockpile applications, heavy construction, wood chip, ripping applications, trap loading with loaders, and of course mining production dozing. So we're into everything. I would call it the Swiss Army tool of dozers.
Now, obviously, return on investment, total cost of ownership, those things are always important, but they're really paramount when plugging a machine of this size into these severe environments. And to that end, Cat says it has reduced total cost of ownership, TOC, by reducing fuel costs, by reducing maintenance time and cost, and through a few production boosting technology features. But let's start with that reduction in fuel cost, because what makes this interesting, at least to me, is that it's not achieved through an eco engine mode or some other kind of software feature that might constrain your performance. It's a hardware change. The new Cat D9 is powered by a 452 horsepower Cat C18 engine. Now, that's the same engine that powered the D9T, and though Cat spec sheets rate the new D9 a bit higher in terms of horsepower than its predecessor, it's really a negligible amount, and Todd actually tells me that it probably has more to do with differences in the testing done to find that rating, and small differences in what RPM peak horsepower is achieved at, rather than real-world performance differences. Another important spec, apart from horsepower, that is higher on this machine is operating weight. The new D9 weighs in at 110,225 pounds, while the D9T weighed in at 105,539 pounds. However, it's also another change that Todd says really hasn't impacted performance. So despite the fact that the D9 is heavier and technically has more horsepower, in terms of raw power, the D9 isn't all that different in terms of performance, in terms of that raw power from the D9T.
Weight and horsepower is what is meaningful to dozers, right? That's what moves material. So the number we've got published there is a very good number. We had a weighed single shank ripper, SU blade. We'll say the everyday dozer. That's a good number. We did make some changes. As I mentioned, move some weight around. There's a new radiator guard, some slight changes really to the frame for manufacturability. But there is not what I'd call a meaningful change to the weight of the machine. There's not a significant practical difference that we can claim performance on.
All right, so let's move on to what is different, and that's fuel costs. Cat says you can expect to save 5% in fuel costs with the new D9 over the D9T, not due to engine enhancements or power modes, but due to two other powertrain updates, a new torque converter and a tweak made to the transmission. The new torque converter on the D9 implements a stator clutch, and that clutch is where the majority of the fuel savings is coming from. Now, as you're likely aware, like the clutch in a manual transmission, the torque converter allows the engine on a vehicle with an automatic transmission to spin almost independently of the transmission. And it essentially converts engine rotation into machine movement by pressurizing transmission fluid and then directing the flow of that transmission fluid into the transmission. Now, the stator is really the piece that allows for torque multiplication, and it plays a huge role in fuel efficiency because it effectively governs the efficiency of the torque converter and thus the powertrain itself. And you can increase the efficiency even further through a clutch on the stator that allows the machine to engage or disengage that stator.
So go into the push, the stator clutch then will lock up, you get that torque you need. And then when you get to the part of the cycle where you back up, stator will come unlocked. Maneuvering, light blade loads, you don't need that stator.
But improved efficiency isn't the only benefit of a stator clutch.
The big thing to note is, well, why not just put a freewheel stator in, as some of the other large dozers in the past have, and all dozers. So we get the ability to also put that stator locked back up in the case of retarding. So going back down a hill, you don't want the machine to run away, the engine actually can help hold it back. That stator provides additional retarding capability. So we're kind of getting the best of both worlds with that feature.
Now, with this 5% reduction in fuel costs, Cat says you can expect your material moved cost to drop by 3% in the D9 over the D9T.
So it's great because it pays the customer every day. Somebody is paying for every gallon of fuel. If you take that 5%, put it over 4,000 hours at a customer site, you're talking in excess of 2,200 gallons of fuel. So take the cost of owning an operating cost, pull out some of the fuel, apply it to the amount of expense applied to move material, that fuel savings really comes out to about 3% BCM.
The other substantial improvement on the new D9 is maintenance costs. Specifically, Cat is saying that it has reduced maintenance costs by 4% on the D9. And the first reason behind that reduction is a fully integrated auto lube system that requires fewer greasing points.
So 8-liter tank should have no problem running every bit of a month at a customer site. A great thing about the Cat system is one is integrated into the design of the tractor. It also has an auto shut-off feature, so the lube guy can hook up to the machine, fill the tank, and then it'll kick off when it's full. Some designs require you to watch it, otherwise you end up with a massive pile of grease covering your tractor all over the ground, and that's just really not okay. The lift cylinders that are on the radiator guard, those used to be greased. They're no longer greasable, so they're greased for life. That's actually a carryover design from the D7E, how it was set up.
Now, engine oil capacity is also larger on this machine, and Todd says that the D9 in most applications should have no problem getting to 500 hours before an oil change is needed. Plus, Cat has extended some of the powertrain filter change intervals all the way up to 2,000 hours, and they've included continuous fluid level monitoring.
We used to have you turn the key on, do the gauge sweep, and it says okay to start. So that just is a confirmation of the compartment level. The fluids are in a good position. So now we've taken it the next step. While the machine's running, it monitors the level of the engine oil, coolant, powertrain, and then the fuel tank. You still have your, we'll say, safety net that when the oil pressure comes on, you get the event operator shut down now. But this is prior to that if that tank compartment is running low, you've got some warnings. So really a chance to avoid some maintenance costs.
And rounding things out on the improved maintenance features of the new Cat D9 are new powered access ladders and a new radiator guard design that gives you a larger clean out there on the right side of the machine that also provides toolless entry.
Even the operator can open it up, get in there, you can blow it out, you can vacuum it out. All dozers at some point are going to need to have a really good clean out. Debris gets packed in there. It's just such a tight area to get rid of all the heat. So that's another advantage that will help drive down ownership cost of the dozer.
Now, these new ladders are electric over hydraulic, and they allow operators to lower the ladders from ground level, climb up and into the cab, and then raise the ladder back up.
We worked really hard to make that ladder fit as tightly as we could. As you can imagine, the ladder hanging off the side, it's a target to easily get pulled off. So it's pulled in nice and tight, and it's also quick.
So moving on from maintenance and to the undercarriage of the new D9, this is essentially the same high drive suspended undercarriage that you'll find on the D9T.
The elevated sprocket's been around really since the 80s, and it has made some changes over the time, but really when you get specific to this program, we've got it pretty well dialed in. So no significant change to the undercarriage. The roller frames, final drives, the idlers, the rollers, the track, push arms, blades, all that piece of the working end of the dozer is unchanged.
And while the undercarriage components are the same, Cat will be offering a new undercarriage option on the D9 in the general duty undercarriage. So you'll have three options to choose from on the D9. You'll have general duty, heavy duty PPR, and the heavy duty extended life undercarriage with Duralink or HDXL. Now, Cat says the HDXL undercarriage can boost undercarriage life anywhere from 20 to 40%, thanks to that Cat patented and more robust Duralink link design, along with larger diameter bushing, track roller, and sprocket segments.
Shoe size will be offered from the factory. What that does is undercarriage is so important to customers. That's one of the biggest costs after the purchase of the machine. So getting that undercarriage dialed in right for the application to get the most life, to make it the most productive, is really important.
Now, beyond changes to the electrical and the frame of this machine, another part of bringing the D9 in line with the rest of Cat's next-gen dozer lineup is updates to the cab. Inside the cab, you're gonna find a cloth air suspension seat, an intuitive control scheme, and a new 10-inch high-definition touchscreen display.
If you get in the cab today of the D9, there's at a minimum 2 screens on there. One thing you'll notice is that we brought everything from those 2 screens into one large 10-inch touchscreen display. So if you can navigate your smartphone, you can figure out how to work this touchscreen. It gets used also as a monitor for some of the camera systems. So your Ripper, your rear view, that'll show up right there in the center. You can do neat things like turn lights off individually just through the touch on the bus screen. So if you have a truck dump application, if you're trying to get somebody's attention or you're blinding someone, touch a button, you can individually control every light on that machine.
Another nice touch inside this new D9 cab are 2 dials. one for throttle and the other for pre-selecting your gear.
Most operators want to doze in first gear forward, then back up in second, but there can be applications or operator preference where you want to go to, say, just first to first and then be able to go first to second. So without having to go in and set all that up, it's a lot quicker through a touch of a button. Using the auto upshift, downshift features is just through a single touch of a button. So it'll be different, but it make it easier on the operator to use some of the technology and things that are baked into the machine.
Of course, another big element of this machine is the available technology on it, and the options include 360-degree machine vision, automatic ripper control, auto carry, and automated blade assist. Now, 360-degree vision is a system of 4 cameras situated at 4 different points on this machine, and that system essentially stitches together a 360-degree view of the machine. Now, some people call this a bird's eye or overhead view. It's a feature that's been on new cars and trucks for a little while now, and it gives you just a view of your nearby surroundings. You can monitor this 360-degree view from a dedicated display on the right side of the cab. And Todd noted during our talk that this isn't a detection system, it's just a vision system. So it's not going to detect objects or people in your path and give you warnings of those things. It's meant more for operators that are trying to get a better view of the front of the blade or right behind the ripper. All right, so speaking of the ripper, automatic ripper control is also available on this machine, and it not only automatically maintains consistent ripper depth, it raises and lowers that ripper as you go to avoid track slippage, it also automatically raises and stores the ripper when you're done with it. Now, the auto carry feature automates the lift of the blade, and like ripper control, this is really helpful in reducing track slippage, and it improves load consistency, which in turn increases your productivity and your efficiency. Then there's automated blade assist. Now, with this option, you can create preset blade pitch positions for load, carry, and spread tasks.
So we have a dozer pushing material. Generally, we come into that cut. We want to load that blade up, and then on a dual tilt machine with those dual pitch cylinders, we can actually lay material back, hold that more material, and you can push up to 5% more material with dual tilt. That requires the operator constantly putting input into those tilt cylinders to cut, carry, dump. So push of a button, auto blade assist gives you the ability to use that feature repeatably with operator comfort.
Now, another change worth noting with auto rip and auto carry is that previously, because the technology behind these features essentially monitors the same things in engine load and traction, but on opposite ends of the machine, they were a package deal. You got both of them or you got nothing. But now Cat is making these features available separately. So if you want auto rip but not auto carry, you can equip it that way now. And of course, you can also equip this machine with Cat's excellent grade with 3D machine control. Plus, in the near future, you're going to be able to equip the D9 with remote control.
If you look at our bigger dozers, we've got that. We've had that for a while. The D11 has semi-autonomous tractor system, also known as stats. We're not to that space yet in the D9. Back to where we started this call, the D9 is a little bit of everywhere, so remote does have its play in some of the market out there. So we really wanted to finish out the product line with getting remote control in there.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap things up for us here on our deep dive on the new Cat D9 Dozer. Let us know what you think of this new machine and the rest of Cat's next generation Dozer lineup in the comments below. Specifically, I'd like to hear what you guys think of the fuel savings on this machine thanks to that new stator clutch, that new torque converter design, and the reduction in maintenance costs. Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you like this video and found it useful in your next machine purchase or machine rental, do us a favor and hit that like button below. It really does help our channel out. And if you want more videos and more coverage on the latest in construction equipment, visit our website at equipmentworld.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter while you're there. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel here on YouTube and turn on notifications. Hit the bell so you're getting up-to-the-minute alerts whenever we drop a new machine video. Thank you again so much for watching. We really appreciate your time, and we will see you next time.